Good evening, everyone. I guess I will just start talking until some people join us. This is my first Facebook Live, and if you see me, I'm like looking to see who's going to join, who's going to be here. I'm really excited to be doing this. So much has changed in the last few weeks in my own growth, in my own expansion, in what I've discovered about myself, what I've uncovered, and how it's led to just life-changing experiences. So if you are just joining, if you have questions, feel free to send them. You can make comments right below this video. If you're not entirely comfortable with that, send them through private messenger and we'll get them there. If you don't want your questions to be seen, send them there. So I know some of you saw that I attended a workshop this weekend, and I have to say it was phenomenal. You ever have a chance, if you've been wondering about painting and have been afraid to paint, that's me, check out Intentional Creativity. It was pretty phenomenal. Now, with me today, off to the side here, is my wife and office manager, Kelly. She is going to be here, so that way as questions start coming in, she is going to start sharing those with me, so that way I can stay focused and less distracted by other things that might be happening. So I see we have a few people who have, well, who are viewing, though I don't know who they are as of yet. So again, if you've got, oh, I see Jerry has joined us. Welcome, Jerry. And like I said, Kelly's here too. And if you've got questions, please feel free to submit these questions. I mean, this is an opportunity for you to, well, hear what you want to hear, to get answers to questions that you have. Hello, Erin, welcome. So glad you're here. And what better time than when you literally can get the answers on the spot. Hello, Elaine, thanks for joining. So this is pretty exciting. So does anybody have a question? If you do, like I said, feel free to post it. I have some ideas about questions that we can, well, that I can answer if they don't start coming through. And I did have a couple of people submit questions in advance who might not be here, so we'll touch on those too. And I know this is a Facebook Live, so it might feel like you're out there for everybody to see. I would still like to put the intention out there that what we're showing up here for today is a safe space, a space that you can ask questions, and your questions are such that they can be beneficial for you, but they'll probably be beneficial for someone else as well, and that, well, that we're leading with love, that the foundation and what we're going to be surrounded today for our time together will be from a place of love. So those are absolutely some of the intentions and what we're holding for this time together today. So now one of the questions, since we have a few people here, I will first go to some of the questions that got submitted since I don't have any coming through live. And one of the questions that was submitted the other day was, what does a synergy session or a session look like? What's a typical session? Now, for those who have experienced this work that I'm currently doing, intuitive healing, you know that each session kind of has a flow and a feel to it. There is a format typically that we follow, and yet we're never quite sure where it's going to take us. But for those who have never seen or experienced a session, there is a list of questions that I've developed over time that I follow. That is the format. It's an opportunity to connect with you, connect with your body, connect with your being with a capital B-E. It's connecting with all that you are, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, as well as what's conscious and subconscious. And I ask questions of your body and being that get answered by your body and being. My experience, and again, those who have had sessions with me know that often our mind, as some people refer to it, our monkey mind can get in our way. We get all caught up in our head and the thoughts will start running rampant, and we can feel crazy and pulled in lots of different directions, trying to figure out what to do, what not to do. And one of the things that I've learned with this work is our body knows, our being knows. And this intuitive work allows us to tap into that inner knowing, that inner being, where that knowledge or that knowing lives. And I don't know about others who are here with us or who have experienced this, but that can be, well, transformational. We can really tap into the unique circumstances that are you and that have led to you being you. And by being able to do that, we're able to clear those traumas, those things have gotten stuck, things that are scars. Hey, Amanda, welcome. And we're able to, clear those old limiting beliefs, those old experiences, the emotions, well, you name it, anything that is stuck or stored in our body, in our being, that's getting in the way of us fully expressing and being, showing up as who we are. And that really is the foundation of what a session, well, at least initially, brings. And like I mentioned, that's done through a process that has a foundation in KST, which is a technique that I've learned, and yet has continued to evolve as I've continued to evolve in my own health and healing journey. So first things we do are clear. We're going to clear that baggage. We're going to clear that trauma. We're going to clear those emotions that your body and being tells us on that given day in that particular session that we're ready to address. And then once we do that, we're also going to address beliefs. And these are what I would refer to as core beliefs. They are, well, they're a list of beliefs that I've developed over a period of, well, months, certainly. And they come from my own experiences. They come from the experiences of the people who are receiving sessions that I believe are relevant to others. And they are things like, I am safe. I am safe. I trust my intuition. I attract ease into all areas of my life. Just to name a few. Now, the list that I have going is about 60 right now. And like I said, I add to them as circumstances apply. And then as we continue in a session, we, well, follow where your body and being tells us to go. Even when we think we know where we're going, our body and being often surprises us. But that's when we're really able to get to the core of the matter. Now, I'm going to jump to a question that Erin just posted. She wrote, can you speak about how you remain neutral when checking in? And she does add that I do it so well. And the first thing I would say to that is practice. When I first started realizing that my intuition was coming into my awareness and was speaking to me more often, that it was becoming more and more frequent. I would say that my intuition, well, when I was working, would come in a couple times a month. And then it would start to come in more frequently. I was recognizing that. And it would, how do I describe it? Fortunately, I have great clients, great practice members who I work with, who do receive care with me, who I can be pretty direct with, and they're, I think, pretty direct with me. And through that, I can share what I'm thinking. I can share what might be going on and get feedback from them. And that really has been important to continuing and developing this process of intuition. But to, I guess, answer more specifically as far as how do I remain neutral? When I first started doing this and was open to, and if you see me looking up and wondering, what the hell am I doing? That's where my intuition brings information. I don't hear things, I don't see things. They're not in my, I don't see anything. The best way I describe the way intuition and information comes is it's a knowing, but I feel like it is here. It's very clear that it's not my mind. It's very clear that it does not come from me, that it comes through me. But if you see me staring off in space, it's because I'm connecting to the knowing that comes. Now, of course, most people who are receiving care with me, I stand behind them when we're doing the work because that's where the clearing happens. So you don't normally see me staring off into space or looking up at the ceiling or into just, so if you see me doing that in this video, then that is what I'm doing. It's because I'm connecting to that intuition. So to continue with the answer of how do I be neutral? That has taken practice. Now, when I first started doing this, I would find that as information started to flow, that sometimes my mind wanted to come in with its own thoughts. It wanted to come in with its own advice, things that I wanted to say. And I literally, again, a lot of people didn't know this because I was behind them, I would step back, close my eyes, do a cleansing deep breath, sometimes more than one, and then step back to continue with that process of the intuition coming in. Because it was clear to me that I was getting in my own way, that I was, letting my mind take over. And with continued practice and continued awareness, as Erin mentioned it, I do it so well. It has gotten much easier. At this point, when I go into, work mode, healing mode, in that mode of being connected to provide care or service to someone, it clicks in pretty easily at this point. And there are times that when I am communicating with someone that, because now the lines are a little more blurred because it does come in so easily, that I will often stop and check in and make sure that the information I'm about to share with someone is actually from their body and being and not from me. Because sometimes the line can be a little blurred. So I will clarify that. The other thing that sometimes happens and why I check in and make sure it's coming from them is because I do this so often now, because this is a part of how I move through every day, how I'm connected and tapping into other people, their essence, their body, their being every day. All those words come out of my mouth. So it starts in some case to feel like me because it's so natural at this point. It's so natural. So the biggest thing is for me to take care of myself, to stay grounded, stay present. There is a process that I go through at my office when I am working out of my office or here at home. Even prior to starting this call today, I did some clearing. I connected with my ancestors. I lit some incense. There are things that I do to prepare the space and prepare me. I did some deep breathing and just make sure that I'm fully grounded and present. I hope that answers the question, Erin. If not, or you're looking for want some clarification or some added things, feel free to ask. Now, I know one of the questions that got submitted hey Jen, one of the questions that got submitted earlier as well was, how can I be confident that the information that is coming through is true, is something that I feel confident sharing with others? And I would go back to first practice. It's gotten easier over time. And when I first started doing this, the information that was coming through was, simple things. And it could be, I might tell someone that they had an emotion of fear that was coming up to be addressed, and it occurred at the age of 7. And the response from the person that I'm working with might be, oh, how did you know? Like, how did you know? And I mean, to be honest, I don't know. It came through me and it was meant for me to share. And obviously I tapped into something that was very relevant for them. Now, as I continue to do this work, I can often give other details. Other details come through, might be a whole story or certainly a whole thought, a whole sentence, more about a particular event. And my confidence increased certainly because the response that people gave to me, they would say things like, wow, I never would have thought of that event. I thought I had addressed that event. Or that happened so long ago. I'm surprised that event is still affecting me today. Or I thought I already addressed it. So it's really from the feedback that people have given me over time. And again, because there are some times that I share information with people and the person really goes, yeah, I really don't know what that's about. I don't remember that. I just don't feel it. It doesn't resonate. And at that point, if I have any doubt, if I have any uncertainty, then I will check in. I will maybe ask for more information, ask more questions. And when I say, again, ask for more information, more questions of your body, of your being, sometimes from you, depending on the situation, but most often from your body and being. And with more information that might come through, then the person goes, oh, yes, I remember that. But they might have kind of stored it in a different way. Their body and being might have kind of stored it as a fearful event, and you wouldn't have used that description. You might have said like it was something that made you anxious, for instance, and because of that difference, you just didn't put the two together. So I see another question here. Okay, what kinds of questions, and this was from Jerry, what kinds of questions can we ask ourselves to clear the limiting belief? That's a great question. If you, through whatever it is you're doing to take care of yourself, to provide healing, to clear limiting beliefs, you're aware of what that limiting belief is, I find that the best questions to ask are general questions. Now, depending on the level of clarity, depending on how much you think you know about this limiting belief, can lead you to what's the best question. And much like I've said in this call, it's about practice, and I recommend that all of you practice that. And I say that because I often have people come to me and say, you know, I did what you said and it's not working, or I'm not getting any information, or I don't know if I'm getting information. And much like anything else, when we first start doing it, it feels weird. It might be uncomfortable. You are just learning. And so you want to practice asking questions on a regular basis. And I always suggest, in most cases, I won't say always, in most cases, I would suggest that you start asking with smaller questions. And what do I mean by that? Now, some of you know I do a lot of checking in. I work with my intuition all the time. I mean, obviously, that's what we're talking about. But when I first started learning this, I would ask questions of my intuition like, is it in my highest and best interest? And I know this might sound a little strange. Is it my highest and best interest to wear pants today or to wear a skirt today? Now you might be thinking, really? You're going to use your intuition for that? Absolutely. And why did I do that? Because I want to let my intuition know I want to talk to my intuition. I want feedback from my intuition. I want to develop a relationship with my intuition. Because at some point, I want to be able to ask my intuition, is it in my highest and best interest, and I did do this, to ask my wife to marry me? And I want to be able to trust that answer. I want to be able to trust that information. And as you can see, do I wear pants or a skirt? And do I ask my now wife to marry me? Very different questions. And if I don't already have a relationship with my intuition, the answer I get about asking my wife to marry me, I might not trust it. So much like with limiting beliefs and asking questions, one, it takes practice. Two, start off something small, especially if you aren't sure when and how you're receiving information from your intuition, or this is something really new to you. But keep it general. And it could be something as simple as, it could be something as simple as, wait a minute, what kind of questions? What question is it for me to ask to release my limiting belief? You literally could put that question out there and keep it that general. You could also have a bit of a dialogue. Okay, intuition, I'm not quite sure what to ask here, so I'm open to receive information from you. Please keep it simple. Because I don't know about you, if you have been doing this work on any level, or you wonder if sometimes, am I receiving a sign? Is that sign for me? Am I interpreting that sign correctly? You don't always know. And some years back, I had another healer that I was working with say, just ask for them to keep it really simple. And I know I've shared this story with some of you probably. The first time this healer suggested to me that I just say, can you please show it to me simply? I got on my computer the next day, and it was after pop-ups really didn't happen anymore. I literally had a pop-up appear on my computer, and the pop-up said, if you've been waiting for a sign, here it is. And believe it or not, I questioned if that sign was for me, because I wasn't used to them coming easy. I wasn't used to them coming clear. And then as far as any other questions, Jerry and everyone else, once you start getting information back on how you can clear that limiting belief, start following it. If you need more clarification or more information, start asking those more detailed questions and the information will start to come. I hope that makes sense. So start broad and then get more narrow depending on what it is that you're asking. I know in this case, limiting beliefs. I hope that was helpful and clear. Again, if not, post in the comments and I will take care of that. Okay. Any other questions that people who are here with us want to know about? Actually, now that I'm seeing this. Oh, okay. I'm seeing that there's more questions. Oh, welcome, Alyssa. Good to see you. Oh, great, Jerry. I'm glad that helped. Another question, are there any books that I get my inspiration from? Yes. If you spend any time with me, you know that I love the Four Agreements. The Four Agreements is what I consider a foundational book. It is one that I reread every year, and it is one that I usually get together with somebody else to discuss. We even earlier this year had basically like a good book club format, and we plan on having another one in January, because that's typically when I reread the book. So the Four Agreements is absolutely one of the books that I'd recommend. Something else that I recommend, Brene Brown, love her. I think she's phenomenal. Anything that I've seen of hers, I think is an excellent place to start. And if you've never read or heard anything of hers, I always recommend you start off with a YouTube video, The Power of Vulnerability. I do revisit that one pretty regularly. And then again, anything else by her. She just had a new book come out. And of course now, because I want the name of it. Braving the Wilderness. Now, that book is like the third in books that build on each other. The Gifts of Imperfection, right, is...
Daring Greatly is first.
Daring Greatly is first? No, I think it's...
the second one. And then
yes, but I think The Gifts of Imperfection, I think, is... that one's a little bit more of a standalone book. But there's Daring Greatly, there's Rising Strong, and then Braving the Wilderness. And I can't remember which order they're in, but those books... Oh, Kelly's telling me that's the right order. Those books are excellent, and even though she is a doctor and a researcher, she's a storyteller. So I find that the books, even if you are not a reader, well, of course you can listen to audiobooks as well, but they are pretty easy to work through. Okay, let me see. Anything else that I find is an inspiration? Oh, Super Soul Sunday. I do like Oprah and her Super Soul Sunday. I think now she just calls it Super Soul. Interviews, I think, are pretty excellent. And if I need a pick-me-up or something where I'm looking to connect, to myself, because sometimes I need support and I need reminders that I am awesome, and I will go there for that. Another question from Alyssa. How did I begin really tapping into my intuition? And how was I able to identify intuition versus misreading things? I really began to tap into my intuition, I guess the best way you can describe it, what I remember now, is I used to tap into my intuition when I was, a little girl. And when I moved into being a teenager, as more and more information came through, I made people uncomfortable. And that even probably went into my later teen years and at my early 20s. And because it made people uncomfortable, I basically shut it down. So it was always there. And I would say, I'll take this moment to say it, that you are more than capable of tapping into your intuition, developing a strong, fabulous relationship with your intuition, and being able to trust your intuition. You have that ability, you have that capability, absolutely. And I can talk a little bit more after about how you can go about developing that. But when I really began to tap into my intuition was practicing as a chiropractor. I realized that sometimes statements or questions would pop into my awareness and I would have no idea why. And it got to the point that I started to listen. And I can remember there was one day that, like, I had this woman, she's an attorney, always comes in dressed fabulously, just a sweetheart of a woman. And during the course of the adjustment, the statement came into my awareness that I was supposed to tell her that she was perfect as she was. I can tell you it made me uncomfortable because I didn't know why I had to share this with her. And it wasn't something that we had really talked about before. She had pretty much come in for her adjustment and then she'd go. But I had learned to trust my intuition, or at least say things at that point. And she got up off the table and I shared with her that she was perfect as she was. She burst into tears and said, I absolutely needed to hear that today. And that was the end of the conversation. But it was certainly reinforcement that if something came into my awareness like that, to share it, to say it. And from there, where I really saw it blossom and expand was when I started to learn KST, when I started to learn this chiropractic technique. And it was through that technique that I learned something called occipital drop, or OD. And it was a way for me to physically ask questions of my body, of my being, or somebody else's. It's considered a binary mechanism. Now, some other binary mechanisms that you might be aware of or have some experience with can be muscle testing or the use of a pendulum, or there's something else, dowsing. Those would be some other mechanisms that would be similar. And what those mechanisms do is provide you a way to get information, again, from you, from someone else, by kind of bypassing all of this noise that's going on in your head. And when I started doing that, now I've tried the pendulum. You can also do it with your body. You can do it with your breath and get a response. But I found those other methods were cumbersome. They could work for short periods of time or for a quick answer, but I couldn't have a whole conversation. With OD, or the occipital drop, I found I could have a whole conversation and get responses. And as I tapped into and started using that technique of occipital drop, what I realized is the more I got out of my head, the more I got out of the thinking process, the more information was starting to flow. It first started coming through literally as a yes or no, or short phrases, and now it comes through as, the question and answer comes through. It can be pretty detailed and pretty in-depth. It can also be pretty specific. And I know part of the question was, how was I able to identify intuition versus misreading things. I can tell you at this point where I misread most things is when it comes to me. I still get in my way. And I think a lot of people that I work with and talk to often say they get in their own way. It's harder to, or at least I have found it harder, especially at times, to be open to information that's coming through me for me and not get in the way of that. And so there's some things that I do for myself. I might stop, do some deep breathing. I might do some meditation. I might walk away essentially and come back to it at another time. Or I do have a coach and a fabulous group of, that people in my tribe, in my community, and it might be a time for me to, hey, Tammy, welcome. It may be a time to, to ask for help, to be honest. I would say that at this point in my experience, if I'm not sure of the information that's coming through for some reason, for someone else, I will ask. I will ask, is this information for this person? If I get what I call a hell yes, then I share it. Sometimes, and I would say it's pretty rare at this point, I might get a response at that point that says it's not necessarily for them to know at this point. Hey, Kathy, welcome. And I'm seeing Alyssa. She says she can identify with that a lot and finds that very interesting. So it sounds like taking a leap of faith with trusting myself is very much key. Yes, I do think that stepping outside my comfort zone is absolutely was like one of the first steps. Well, I say one of the first steps. No, it continues to be a step. I'm constantly stepping outside of my comfort zone. As the people that I work with continue to grow and expand, and I even had somebody last week said, since they've started working with me, they are experiencing exponential expansiveness. So as the people I work with are experiencing that level of growth, that level of healing, it's absolutely motivation for me to continue to step outside my own comfort zone. And one of the other key pieces for me has been to have somebody that I work with. I have a coach that I work with, and her name's Emma Churchman. I've worked with her for a period of time. She has her own method for checking in. And as I was diving into this more and more so for myself, I could ask questions and she could check in on her end and see if we came up with the same answers. And sometimes she could say, yes, absolutely, I'm right there with you. I'm getting the same information. Other times she'd say, I'm getting a yes, and there's a little something else here. And then, or yes and more. So she was able to say, well, I guess help me fine tune the sensitivity of the confidence and trust I had in myself to trust what was happening. Again, especially for me. The doubt at this point is more often comes through for myself. But from talking to other people, it does seem like that's the case. Okay, let's see. Okay, So I'm not seeing any other questions right at the moment. I know we did have a couple of people just join. So Tammy or Kathy, if you have any questions that that you want to ask, feel free to ask them. But while you might be thinking of a question, or if anybody else has a question that you want to ask, definitely get it here in the next moment or two. Yeah, get it in for the next moment or two. So while we're waiting to see if there are any other questions that are coming in, I did want to share a couple of things with you. One of the things that we've talked a lot about a lot in this live so far is intuition, trusting ourselves, having faith in ourselves, being able to check in, being able to hear and understand information that might be coming to us, for us. And again, this is something I know for myself, my ability to check in, my ability to ask my body, ask my being questions, to trust intuition has been instrumental. I mean, even though I still have some doubt at times, it still has taken me from being all up in my mind, literally getting tired and exhausted from the number of questions or the number of pros and cons for decisions I'd want to make, and certainly getting out of my mind when I want to step into new patterns of behavior, when I want to step outside of my comfort zone and my nervous system, my ego is trying to keep me safe, which is trying to keep me in what's known. My intuition has been super instrumental and super supportive for me being able to move in the direction that I want to move. It's been instrumental in, to be blunt, letting my old shit go, letting those limiting beliefs go, and to be willing to do things that make me uncomfortable. And Alyssa, I see that you've got some questions, and I will fill in at the end. Yeah, I'll answer those questions, and spelling and stuff. Oh, I just heard from Kelly that she did. So why am I saying this about intuition? I do have an intuition video series that is due to launch actually this week. It's a series that's 10 weeks. It's videos that you watch at home, and there are exercises and some questions to answer, and it's all designed to help you develop your own intuition. I do see a couple bonus videos coming in at the end, so I actually see probably like 12 videos total happening with that. And it's based on what I've learned. It's based on what I've learned about my own intuition and how to develop it, and also from helping clients to develop their own intuitive skills. So if you are interested in that intuition webinar, I will post the details below the video when we're done. Right now I'm getting ahead of myself. There is a special going on with that right now. So I will post that in the end. Okay, another question. Erin asks, could you talk a little more about clearing before or after your day? What do you do or use? Okay. Hey, Amber, welcome. It's good to see you. How do I clear before and after my day? That's a really good question, because I do that. At home, I start my day with intentions. I have a series of statements that I pull up, and depending on timing and depending on how I am, that I will say out loud, that I will read, that I will write, that I might do some clearing about, do some checking in about, especially if I feel like there's some stuff coming up. because one of the things that I want to do is I want to start my day in the right frame of mind, the right frame of being. I want to give myself the best chance on having, I hope this doesn't offend, but a fucking fantastic day. And having a fucking fantastic day because I know and I believe that I am fucking fantastic, not because it's just chance. So I do that. I also, and this I learned some years ago, again from another healer, I say good morning to my ancestors, and either say thank you for supporting me or ask them to join me on what it is that we might be doing. And then on the days that I'm in the office, I usually am using Palo Santo to clear the space before I start. I also have intentions that I use before I see my first client or my first practice member. I give myself time to get grounded, get present, get connected. I don't like to rush. Right from, I don't know, doing a whole bunch of stuff to putting my hands on people or connecting with people, depending on if I'm seeing them in person or doing a remote session with them on the phone. I want to make sure that, that my space is clear, that I'm clear, and that I'm connected as well. And then I also use, I have some sprays that I use. And actually Kelly creates the sprays for me. She has sprays that she does usually with the moon cycle, that she will use Reiki and essential oils and crystals, and then the energy of the different phases of the moon. And I'm learning about this. This is why I don't do it and why she does it. Each of the moons and each of the cycles have different meanings and essentially different properties. So I also have those sprays that I'll use at the start of the day and the end of the day, and sometimes in between sessions. Sometimes what people are releasing or letting go can be pretty heavy, can be pretty deep, and we want to make sure that the space is clear. And we do get excellent feedback. We do have some people that come to our office early for their appointments because they want to spend more time in the space because they just feel lighter, they feel welcome. They just feel that clear, good energy. So great question, Erin. But honestly, what I would suggest is create your own routines, create your own rituals. This is what I do, and this is what I've developed over years. And again, those evolve. So if you, so try some things. If they feel good, then do it. If they don't feel so great or you don't feel like they make a difference, try something else. It is really all about what makes sense for you. I would say the other thing that I do at the office, certainly, probably not so much here at home, at the office, because there are so many people coming in and out, we also are diffusing essential oils throughout the day. And I choose those essential oils based on my intuition. I do ask and tap into my intuition to find out what oils, both for myself to use, sometimes clients or practice members, what they're going to use, and also what we put in the diffusers in the course of the day. I want to meet or provide, that energy for what's showing up. All right. I'd say we're reaching a point of last call for questions. So again, if you have a question, feel free to post it below. If you're not sure about posting questions, but you have them, send me a private message afterwards. And you can also call my office and schedule a 30-minute complimentary consultation. I will be happy to talk to any of you who might have more questions and want to understand things on a deeper level or something very specific to you. All right. Well, then the last thing I would like to offer you, as I just a few minutes ago shared, I have an intuition video series that is ready to be launched. And this is how this is based on how I have developed my own intuition, how I continue to enhance my own intuition. And I have given it to a few people to get feedback, and the feedback, well, I'm happy to say, has been pretty good. Well, not pretty good. No, that's not true. God, it's so easy for us to make us out to be less than fucking fantastic. The feedback I've received is excellent. The other thing that I have going on right now that you might have seen or heard about if you are on my mailing list are synergy sessions. And so I did want to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about synergy sessions. I've got notes here somewhere. Let me find them here. Okay, synergy sessions. These are, I would say, individual sessions. They are single sessions. Pretty much the way I work with people at this point is I have programs that are based on a period of time, usually months, 3, 6, 12 months, depending on what somebody's trying to achieve in a period of time. But a synergy session is a standalone session. It's a 90-minute session, and I would describe it as a high-powered physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, conscious, subconscious clearing and healing session. Now, I've done a number of these because I offered this special a couple of weeks ago. I've done a number of these in that time frame, and it's amazing what comes out, what people are letting go, what people are stepping into. And right now, the special for that 90 minutes is 50% off. So if that's something you're interested in, absolutely send me a private message, make a comment below, like Synergy, and I'll contact you. That special is going to go through the end of July, and that is for, as long as you get it scheduled. How do I word this? You can schedule it for August, but you have to call and schedule it in July, if that makes sense. And I want to share what somebody has said about their synergy session. This is from a client of mine in Seattle. And she wrote, well, the way she described it is a synergy session is a soul-to-soul conversation. Every block that she cleared, that I cleared, she was talking about me, was exactly what she needed to continue to move forward. And we were talking about her business. And she said I was a gifted healer and that we were aligned and in sync the whole time that we worked together. And this can be for you if you're interested in seeing what intuitive healing is all about, if you've got a particular area that you feel stuck or blocked, or that you are doing a lot of work and not getting the results that you want, or maybe you're doing work and getting results, but they're slow and steady and you really want a boost to what you're doing. And this can be for people who have never worked with me before, or people who are currently working with me or have worked with me in the past. These synergy sessions continue to blow me away on what we've achieved. So again, intuition video series, 10 to 12 videos, one per week to help you develop your own intuition, and then synergy sessions, 50% off if you call and schedule them before the end of July. All right. Again, any more questions, post them, and continue to post them. If you think of something tomorrow, post it. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer questions. Oh, which reminds me, we're going to do this again. And so if you've got more questions, if you've got something else that you want to dive into, I should have prepared this. Of course, I don't. didn't pull out the date in advance. I'm going to do a Q&A August 16th. It is a Thursday, and it's going to be in the evening on August 16th. So if you've got more questions, if you know other people who have questions or want to know more, feel free to, save that date. All right. Post synergy in the comments if you're interested in a synergy session. Post intuition if you are interested in intuition video series, or ask questions. I'd love to hear more about you and what you're interested in. This has been great having you all here. Thanks, Jerry, for that. Yes, thank you everybody who has taken the time to join me tonight. This was a whole lot of fun. I love talking about this because I want you to be able to live the life that you want to be living. That's what this work has absolutely done for me. It has allowed me to decide I'm going to create a life that I love. And that continues to evolve and expand for me every single day. In some cases so fast that I feel like I need to whoa, because it really does just flow. All right. Thank you again, everyone. I'm sending you all lots of love until we connect again. Have a great night.